Holy That's a child.
Without wasting time, here are 6 most disturbing backpacking encounters caught on camera. This intense and unexpected footage recounts a harrowing close call experienced by 2 friends while backpacking and fishing. What begins as a peaceful outing on the water quickly turns into a near-disaster experience. The incident begins with the friends enjoying their fishing and backpacking trip, seemingly unbothered by the occasional distant sound of gunshots.
Jesus.
These sounds, presumably from hunters in the area, are initially ignored as part of the environment. However, the calm is shattered when a gunshot lands dangerously close, striking the boat's deck.
Holy Stop shooting! Hey! Hey! You shot my boat! It hit my boat!
The bullet's impact is sudden and jarring, prompting one of the friends to shout in alarm. Their panic is evident as they scramble to assess the situation, shouting toward the direction of the gunfire in an attempt to stop whoever is firing. The realization that their boat has been hit quickly dawns on them, and they start shouting at the hunters. Their tone is a mix of anger and fear as they inspect the damage. The bullet, upon hitting the boat's deck, narrowly misses one of the friends' feet, a fact that becomes even more chilling when they review the footage frame by frame.
Holy
The slow-motion replay reveals just how close the bullet came to striking one of them directly. The ricochet marks on the boat's surface provide a stark reminder of the bullet's trajectory. Had the boat been positioned slightly differently or drifted even a few inches further, the outcome could have been catastrophic. The proximity of the shot underscores the life-threatening nature of the incident, leaving the friends visibly shaken. Despite their alarm, the friends handle the situation by vocally confronting the shooter, though it remains unclear whether the hunter was aware of their presence. The video raises questions about the safety protocols of hunting in areas where other recreational activities such as fishing occur. The lack of awareness or caution from the shooter not only endangered the friends, but also highlights the potential risks of shared outdoor spaces. In the aftermath, the friends express both relief and lingering frustration. The near miss leaves a lasting impression, turning what was meant to be a relaxing day on the water into a cautionary tale. The following footage dives into an extraordinary story that will leave you on the edge of your seat. It recounts an unsettling and mysterious event experienced by Fasil, a 78-year-old adventurer, during a camping and backpacking trip to Ruby Falls in the Alberta Rockies. Known for his YouTube channel, Voyager Overland, Fasil typically shares serene, awe-inspiring footage from his outdoor explorations, focusing on the natural beauty of remote locations. However, this particular adventure stands out as a chilling departure from his usual content. The trip begins like many others shared on Voyager Overland. On October 26, 2024, Fasil, his wife Jean, and their 2 grandchildren embark on a multi-day camping expedition to Ruby Falls. The family anticipates a typical journey filled with exploration, relaxation, and bonding in the pristine wilderness of the Alberta Rockies. For the grandchildren, the excitement centers on the opportunity to immerse themselves in nature, a pastime nurtured by their grandfather's deep love for the outdoors. Upon arriving at their destination, the family sets up camp, pitching tents and arranging their equipment for the night ahead. The peaceful setting promises a memorable escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Before turning in for the evening, Fasil decides to set up a trail camera, a routine part of his camping trips. He hopes to capture footage of local wildlife as a surprise for his nature-loving granddaughter. This time, however, the camera records something far more eerie than a passing deer or bear. The trail camera is positioned strategically near the campsite, designed to capture nocturnal activity while the family sleeps. Fassel shares that despite many attempts in the past, the camera has yet to record any significant wildlife. He considers it a hopeful experiment, not expecting much but excited about the possibility of showing his granddaughter something unique. As the family sleeps, the trail camera quietly operates in the background. The serene night, illuminated only by faint moonlight, gives no indication of the shocking footage it will capture. When Fassel reviews the recording the following morning, he is stunned by what he sees. The camera has captured a ghostly figure wandering through the campsite, its glowing eyes piercing the darkness in a way that defies explanation. The footage shows the figure moving with a slow, deliberate gait, its spectral presence stark against the natural backdrop. The glowing eyes are particularly unsettling, appearing almost as though they are staring directly at the camera. What makes the sighting even more disturbing is the moment when the figure seems to notice the camera. It approaches slowly, coming fully into view. The clarity of its face, combined with its ethereal appearance, leaves no doubt in Fassil's mind that this is no ordinary animal or human being. The figure's approach feels calculated, almost as if it is inspecting the camera. Its movements are otherworldly, adding to the sense of unease. The footage is unlike anything Fassil has ever encountered in his decades of outdoor exploration. While his trail camera has captured unexpected elements in the past, such as unnoticed hikers or nearby wildlife, this sighting is entirely different, veering into the realm of the supernatural. Though Fassil typically shares his outdoor findings with his family, he decides to withhold this particular footage from his grandchildren. He deems it too terrifying for them to see, recognizing the potential emotional impact of witnessing such a chilling sight. As a protective grandfather, he chooses to shield them from the unsettling discovery, opting instead to quietly reflect on what the footage might mean. The incident leaves Fassil deeply unsettled. He is candid about his inability to explain the sighting, admitting that it has shaken his sense of understanding about the natural world. Despite his extensive experience in the wilderness, this encounter introduces an element of mystery that challenges his assumptions and leaves him searching for answers. Despite his apprehension, Fassil decides to share the footage with his audience on Voyager Overland. Known for his honest and authentic approach to documenting his adventures, he uploads the video in its entirety, allowing viewers to witness the ghostly figure and draw their own conclusions. The video quickly goes viral, capturing the attention of both paranormal enthusiasts and skeptics. The footage sparks widespread debate and speculation. Some viewers suggest the figure could be the spirit of a lost traveler or a being tied to the land's history, while others theorize that it might be an animal distorted by the night vision camera. There are also skeptics who propose more mundane explanations, such as light reflections or a cleverly orchestrated hoax. Despite these theories, no definitive explanation emerges, and the mystery deepens. Fassil's decision to upload the footage is not without hesitation. He expresses a mix of curiosity and unease, encouraging viewers to share their thoughts while acknowledging his own uncertainty. He mentions that this is not the first time his recordings have captured something unexpected in the background, but this instance is by far the most inexplicable. The timing of the incident also adds to the intrigue. The sighting occurs on a clear, sunny day, followed by a calm night, making the ghostly figure's appearance even more jarring. Ruby Falls, while known for its natural beauty, has no documented history of paranormal activity, making the encounter an anomaly in an otherwise serene location. Since this video has gone viral, it has brought Fassil a wave of new followers, drawn to the mystery of the ghostly figure. The comment section becomes a hub of discussion, with viewers dissecting every frame of the footage for clues. Some highlight the glowing eyes as evidence of something supernatural, while others focus on the figure's gait and movements. Theories range from cryptids and spirits to camera malfunctions and elaborate pranks. Despite the range of interpretations, one thing is clear. The footage has captured the imagination of thousands. The combination of Fassel's credibility as an experienced outdoorsman and the high-quality night vision recording lends weight to the mystery, leaving viewers captivated by the unanswered questions. For Fassel, the encounter marks a turning point in his adventures. While he remains committed to exploring the wilderness, he approaches future trips with a heightened awareness of the unknown. The experience reinforces the unpredictability of nature, where moments of beauty can give way to the inexplicable without warning. Fassel's encounter at Ruby Falls adds a haunting chapter to his storied adventures. The ghostly figure captured on his trail camera remains an unsolved mystery. Whether a supernatural event, a distortion of natural phenomena, or an elaborate trick, the footage has left a lasting impact on both Fassel and his audience. Ghost Theory is a YouTube channel run by two filmmakers and paranormal enthusiasts, Joe and Elliot. They travel across the UK, exploring haunted locations and documenting their experiences. On June 2nd, 2024, they go on a nerve-wracking backpacking trip to an abandoned asylum. Initially intended as a straightforward investigation of paranormal activity and a comparison to a previous visit in 2021, the trip takes a dangerous turn when the group encounters other people in the building, some of whom are armed and possibly engaged in criminal activities. The explorers planned to camp on the roof of the asylum, which provided a ventilated and relatively secure space compared to the dusty and hazardous interior. They intended to leave cameras inside the building overnight to capture potential paranormal activity, a method they had used successfully in previous investigations. Their goal was to record subtle signs of ghostly presence while revisiting key areas they had explored years earlier. However, from the beginning, the team expressed a sense of foreboding, with one member waking up that morning feeling unusually anxious and nervous about the day ahead. Upon arriving, the explorers noted the extent of the building's decay since their last visit. They remarked on the stark difference in conditions, with many previously intact sections now heavily vandalized or destroyed. Despite the unsettling atmosphere and their initial feelings of unease, they began their exploration, revisiting areas such as solitary confinement rooms and corridors with heavy doors. These spaces once housed individuals in high-security settings, and their design and deterioration added to the eerie environment. The team noted significant changes in the asylum's structure, including destroyed locks, smashed windows, and deteriorated walls. The coldness inside the building, in contrast to the warm outside temperature, further heightened the group's unease. While conducting their investigation, the group became aware of other people in the building. They heard noises resembling metal being dragged, items being thrown, and distant voices.
That's people. Good.
Initially unsure if the sounds were paranormal or caused by people, the group's anxiety grew as they confirmed human presence. Looking out of a window, they spotted individuals in military-style gear carrying rifles.
They got weapons. Yeah. They've all got guns.
The armed individuals seemed to be preparing for something, possibly illegal activities such as scavenging or practicing with air rifles. The explorers debated whether to confront them or remain hidden. Ultimately, they decided to observe from a distance, fearful of escalating the situation. The sight of people with weapons in an abandoned building next to a prison underscored the potential danger, leading the team to reassess their plans. The situation worsened as the armed individuals moved closer to the explorers' camp. They could hear heavy machinery, such as angle grinders, being used, indicating possible looting or destruction of the property.
These people up there. Fuck. Leave quick.
The explorers noted the distinct smell of burning, possibly from materials being cut or torched. At this point, their focus shifted from exploring the building to ensuring their safety. The group decided to abandon their planned overnight stay and began packing their equipment, leaving their tent and some gear behind in their haste to leave. They prioritized getting to a safer location over retrieving everything, a decision that underscored the gravity of the situation. As the explorers attempted to exit, they encountered more unsettling noises and signs of activity. They were unable to determine whether the individuals were aware of their presence, but the possibility of being confronted by armed strangers drove them to move as quickly and quietly as possible. They described the experience as one of the most frightening nights of their lives, noting how the combination of the building's eerie atmosphere and the presence of potentially dangerous people made for an intense and harrowing experience. The explorers expressed gratitude for escaping without harm. They speculate about the motivations of the individuals they encountered, suggesting they were scavengers or opportunists exploiting the abandoned site. The group emphasizes the challenges of distinguishing between paranormal activity and human-caused disturbances during such explorations. Despite their extensive experience investigating abandoned locations, this encounter served as a reminder of the unpredictability and risks associated with urban exploration. They resolved not to return to the asylum, deeming it too dangerous due to the high likelihood of encountering more people involved in illicit activities. Their decision to leave their equipment behind in favor of personal safety reflects a key lesson about prioritizing well-being over material possessions in hazardous situations. The experience also reiterates the unpredictable nature of such explorations, where plans can change in an instant due to unforeseen circumstances. On August 21, 2023, Jay, an explorer and paranormal investigator from the YouTube channel The Journey is the Destination, revisited the eerie Erin Cemetery located in a ghost town. This revisit aims to improve upon a previous livestream, which was marred by technical issues, and delve deeper into the supernatural phenomena reportedly tied to the site. Jay begins by recounting his earlier live stream at the cemetery, which featured compelling paranormal activity, but suffered from poor audio and connectivity issues. Determined to capture clear evidence, he returns to conduct another investigation. The cemetery, part of a ghost town abandoned decades ago, is steeped in history and has numerous graves, including those of soldiers and children. As Jay walks through the cemetery, he notes the presence of cows in the vicinity, their sounds adding an unsettling backdrop to the already eerie environment. The use of paranormal apps begins yielding responses almost immediately. The Spirit Talker app detects words like soldier and sliced, which Jay connects to the many military graves in the area. He interprets these messages as potential spirit communication, especially since the cemetery houses several unmarked graves believed to belong to soldiers and children. Jay also references an earlier visit when he reportedly captured footage of a shapeshifter, a supernatural entity that appears to change forms. This past experience makes the mention of shapeshifters in the current session even more chilling. He recalls witnessing a shifting shape in the distance, which he believes was a paranormal event, adding to his heightened state of alert. The investigation quickly escalates as Jay begins experiencing physical sensations like sudden goosebumps, which he interprets as a sign of a spirit's proximity. The GhostTube app and Spirit Talker continue to produce messages that seem relevant to the site, including mentions of dance, she killed, and hunter. These messages create a narrative of tragedy and unrest, especially when Jay links them to the cemetery's graves of unnamed children and soldiers.
Is that one of the children buried here? There's no names on these 5 graves here, but they are children. And then that's a child, that's a child, that's a child. No name on that one. Can't really read that.
At one point, Jay feels a strong presence near him, accompanied by inexplicable noises such as rustling grass and faint movements. He captures an image that appears to depict blood splatter in an alleyway, which he struggles to interpret. These occurrences intensify the mystery surrounding the cemetery, leaving Jay visibly unnerved. The most striking moment comes when the apps relay phrases like, "they take other forms," and "shapeshifter," directly referencing Jay's earlier experiences.
They take other forms.
They take other forms? The shapeshifters? Oh my god, I'm freaking out right now. Especially knowing that I've had some experiences out here and I've seen some stuff I can't explain out here.
He reacts with a mix of fear and fascination, speculating that the cemetery might harbor entities capable of altering their appearance to confuse or intimidate visitors. Throughout the investigation, Jay hears unexplained noises, including what he describes as strange sounds from the cows and rustling in the trees. Despite hearing cows, he finds it odd that he never actually sees them, raising the possibility of something imitating animal sounds, a theory that aligns with the shapeshifter narrative. The visual and auditory anomalies deepen the sense of unease, with Jay constantly scanning his surroundings to ensure his safety. At one point, a piece of grass appears to move as though stepped on, though no one is visibly present. This moment leaves Jay visibly shaken, as it feels like a direct interaction with a spirit. During his exploration, Jay picks up names like Charles and George, which he uses to try to establish a direct dialogue. The Spirit Talker app suggests connections to specific graves, including that of a young boy named James H. Jones. Jay asks questions about the history of the site, including whether the children buried there died of disease, and receives cryptic responses that hint at tragic events. Jay also encounters phrases that suggest a desire for communication, such as "we hear you" and "see me." These responses encourage him to continue probing for details, though the atmosphere grows increasingly oppressive. As the investigation winds down, Jay acknowledges the quieter tone of the night compared to previous visits, but remains convinced of the cemetery's paranormal significance. The consistent responses from the apps, combined with his physical sensations and unexplained noises, leave him eager to review the footage for additional evidence. The nature of the cemetery, particularly the recurring theme of shapeshifters and their potential presence, is unnerving. He describes the experience as deeply unsettling yet compelling, reinforcing his belief in the supernatural elements tied to the site. The investigation also underscores the limitations and subjectivity of paranormal tools. While the apps provide contextually relevant phrases, their accuracy remains open to interpretation. While definitive answers remain elusive, Jay Online last time wasn't able to get the alleged video of a shapeshifter on camera in this backpacking trip. This video chronicles a solo backpacking trip undertaken by Moxley, a YouTuber, into one of the United Kingdom's most haunted forests, a place steeped in history and associated with numerous ghostly tales. The forest, known as the Rooks, holds a grim legacy tied to the Pretoria Pit disaster of 1910, one of the deadliest mining accidents in UK history. This incident resulted in the deaths of 344 miners, including children, leaving a lingering sense of tragedy and mystery in the area. Moxley makes his way into the Rooks as the day wanes. The weather is far from ideal, with persistent rain soaking the ground and making the hike slippery and arduous. Despite the challenging conditions, he remains determined to experience the forest's eerie reputation firsthand. The Rooks is infamous for its haunting atmosphere, and is frequently visited by paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers. As I mentioned earlier, its association with the Pretoria pit disaster, where hundreds of miners lost their lives, lends the location a tragic and otherworldly air. As he treks deeper into the forest, the backpacker points out remnants of mining structures, such as old shafts and foundations. He talks about the reports of supernatural sightings, including ghostly apparitions, unexplained noises, and shadowy figures. He also mentions the miners' experiences leading up to the disaster, including hearing ominous sounds and seeing black crows, a foreboding symbol in local folklore. These eerie elements add to the growing tension as nightfall approaches. Moxley eventually finds a suitable spot to set up his tarp and hammock. The rain continues to fall and the light fades quickly, forcing him to work hastily. The forest grows increasingly silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy and unnatural. As he sets up his gear, the man admits to feeling a creeping sense of unease, though he brushes it off as natural nervousness given the location and circumstances. While preparing his campsite, he hears faint voices and laughter in the distance. Initially dismissing it as other campers or hikers, he decides to stay alert. The voices, however, do not fade, and he cannot pinpoint their source. This adds to his anxiety, as the idea of encountering other people in such a remote and notorious area seems both reassuring and potentially dangerous. As darkness fully envelops the forest, the backpacker focuses on small tasks to keep his mind occupied, such as making coffee and adjusting his gear. However, the oppressive atmosphere makes it difficult to ignore his surroundings. He begins to hear the occasional snapping of branches and faint rustling noises, as if something, or someone, is moving nearby. Using his flashlight, he scans the area but finds nothing unusual. These sounds become more frequent, heightening his sense of vulnerability. To distract himself, he shares more about the Pretoria pit disaster, recounting how many miners had reported unsettling experiences before the tragedy. He talks about the conditions of the miners, many of whom were children, and how their lives were abruptly and tragically cut short. This history of the forest emphasizes its potential connection to the paranormal activity reported by visitors. Midway through the night, Moxley has a startling encounter that leaves him shaken. Two strangers suddenly appear near his camp, seemingly out of nowhere. One of them casually pops his head around, startling the camper.
So we're at 4:05 in the morning. Oh, you can see that. So about 20 to 4, you just lay there. In. Just to this side of me, just here. Some guy popped his head around. I said, "Hey mate, what are you doing?" I didn't even hear him approaching.
The strangers claim they have a camp near a lake, but their behavior seems odd and out of place. Despite their friendly demeanor, he feels deeply uncomfortable and wary of their intentions. To expedite their departure, he offers them food, water, and cigarettes. The interaction is brief, but it leaves a lasting impression. The strangers approached him very easily without even him noticing, showcasing his vulnerability in such an isolated setting. After they leave, the sense of unease intensifies as the encounter reinforces his feeling of being watched and exposed. As the night wears on, the backpacker experiences a series of unsettling events that deepen his fear. He hears banging sounds and what seem like footsteps circling his camp.
Somebody coming. I'm a little bit nervous.
At one point, he hears faint whispers and snippets of conversation, though he remains alone. These sounds are accompanied by an oppressive feeling of being surrounded, as if unseen eyes are watching his every move. He describes seeing glowing eyes in the darkness, which he initially mistakes for something supernatural. Upon closer inspection, he realizes they belong to a deer, but the moment still rattles him. He considers using paranormal equipment to investigate further, but ultimately decides against it, fearing it might provoke whatever is lurking nearby. The rain, which initially provided some comfort by masking sounds, now feels like an additional barrier, isolating him further. Despite his exhaustion, He struggles to sleep, his nerves on edge from the constant noises and the oppressive atmosphere. As dawn approaches, Moxley begins to pack up his camp, eager to leave the forest. The rain has subsided, and the first light of day offers some relief from the night's tension. He acknowledged how unsettling the night was and expressed gratitude for the relative safety of daylight. He again talks about the encounter with the strangers, questioning their motives and whether their presence was coincidental. He also ponders the strange noises and sensations he experienced, admitting that he cannot fully explain what happened. While skeptical of the paranormal, he acknowledges that the Rook's history and atmosphere make it a uniquely eerie place. Before leaving, he takes a moment to pay his respects to the victims of the Pretoria pit disaster. He emphasizes the importance of remembering their lives and the tragedy that forever changed the area. While the backpacker leaves the forest physically unscathed, the psychological impact of the night lingers, underscoring the power of the Rook's haunted reputation. The final footage of this video comes from Trusadale TV, an intriguing YouTube channel that focuses on anything related to camping, exploring, and traveling. In his most popular video, he details a stealth backpacking experience in the infamous Ballyboley Forest located in Ireland. Known as one of the most haunted forests in the country, the forest has a chilling history filled with reports of disappearances, strange figures, and eerie sounds. The narrator expresses a mix of excitement and anxiety about camping in Ballyboley Forest. He highlights the forest's dark reputation, mentioning the many sinister events linked to the area, including unexplained disappearances and reports of paranormal activity. The forest is thick with undergrowth, making navigation difficult, and the ground is uneven, challenging his search for a suitable camping spot. After some effort, he settles on a location slightly off the trail. Although he can still hear passing cars, the spot offers some seclusion, which is crucial for stealth camping. The narrator comments on the precariousness of his setup but decides to make do with the resources at hand. The surrounding forest adds to the ominous atmosphere, with dense trees and underbrush creating an isolating effect. Despite the unnerving setting, the narrator maintains a light-hearted tone, joking about his meal preparation and showing a variety of snacks to pass the time. However, he remains alert, aware of the forest's reputation and its potential for eerie occurrences. As darkness falls, the forest becomes even more foreboding. The narrator decides to explore deeper into the woods, equipped with a flashlight. He describes the disorienting nature of the environment, noting how the dense undergrowth and similar-looking trees make it easy to get lost. While navigating, he begins to feel a growing sense of unease, describing goosebumps and an inexplicable feeling of being watched. The narrator recounts local legends and paranormal reports tied to Ballyboley Forest. These include sightings of shadowy figures, unexplained cries for help, and strange lights that seem to lure people deeper into the woods. He mentions stories of black smoke accompanied by human and animal screams, which have been tied to theories of occult practices or supernatural entities inhabiting the forest. While exploring, the narrator hears rustling sounds and faint movements, though he cannot identify their source. At one point, he allegedly hears a voice calling his name, which sends a chill down his spine. He stops to assess his surroundings, addressing any potential spirits or entities directly, asking them to stay away. This interaction intensifies his anxiety, and he decides to return to the safety of his camp. Back at the campsite, the narrator attempts to relax by preparing his meal and sitting by his makeshift cooking area. However, the tension remains palpable. He continues to hear faint noises in the distance, including thuds and what he describes as whispers. These unexplained sounds keep him on edge throughout the night. The narrator delves deeper into the forest's history, recounting reports from as far back as the 15th century. These accounts describe hooded figures seen among the trees, black smoke rising from the center of the forest, and sounds of dim chanting and distant screams. Locals have long avoided the forest, warning travelers to stay away due to its dark and mysterious reputation. One particularly chilling tale involves two ramblers in 1987 who heard flapping noises while walking through the forest. They followed the sound, thinking someone was in distress, only to hear a piercing scream behind them. Turning around, they saw four hooded figures in brown robes silently watching them. Stories like these fuel the narrator's apprehension as he reflects on the forest's eerie legacy. As the night progresses, he struggles to sleep, The oppressive silence of the forest is occasionally broken by unexplained noises, which he attempts to rationalize. However, the combination of the forest's dark history, his own apprehensions, and the unsettling sounds leaves him restless. At one point, he considers investigating further, but ultimately decides against it, prioritizing his safety. At first light, the narrator begins to pack up his campsite, eager to leave the forest. He performs a ritual to ensure no unclean spirits follow him home, speaking directly to any potential entities and firmly telling them to remain in the forest. This ritual underscores the psychological toll the night has taken on him, as he seems both relieved and unnerved by the experience. Navigating back to the trail, the narrator talks about the forest's intimidating presence and the challenge of camping in such a notorious location. He expresses gratitude for making it through the experience unscathed, but admits that the eerie atmosphere of Ballyboley Forest will linger in his mind. And with that, I'm out.